My name is Kim Wong. I'm the moderator for this evening. I'm an actor and voice actor known for Zai and Naraka, Words Bubble Up Like Soda Pop, and Hyperscape. And I'm so psyched for tonight's improv, obviously, and conversation, and to welcome you to We on the 8th. Show of hands, whose first time is it here? Welcome. That's amazing. And who's been here before? Our regulars. Yes, I love to see it. For those of you joining us for the first time in person or digitally, because this is being live streamed, We on the 8th is an AAPI as well. We encourage you to stick around after the panel as well to mingle and meet fellow creatives in our community, talk about projects you're working on, and ask for help if you need it, because that is what our organization is all about. If you have a cell phone, now would be a good time to silence it. And you can also make note of any questions you have, as we will be having an audience Q&A afterwards. Just a reminder, if you have anything you'd like to feature at future We Own the 8th panels, please email us or talk to YJ after the event. Before we bring up our panelists, we are highlighting a community short film from Zenith Tao called Squeak, Squeak. We're gonna screen it first and then you can talk about it. Thank you. We love you though, yes. That was amazing. Was this a community, this is Zenith, our amazing director slash writer?
Writer, yeah.
Just writer.
Writer and director.
Writer and director, I was correct.
Yes. Hi.
Was this a community film? Or?
Yeah, it's, aren't all movies community films, right?
Touche.
Yeah, because it was just a small project that I wanted to do. It's actually my first horror ever. It was, my friend challenged me to do a horror. I was like, yeah, sure. I thought I'd give it a try, and then I gathered people around me, friends, people who I like to work with, to just make this thing with like no money, no budget, just a camera, and just like a bunch of people. And you know, I paid for like lunch and stuff. But yeah, and then YJ was the one who helped me produce it.
I saw that,
Yep.
and then James Tang, another one of our We on the 8th moderators, was in it, as well as the scary man in the shadows.
The irony is that he's such a good-looking man, but then I put a mask on him.
Way to cover him.
I know, right? Way to use him to his full potential.
What inspired you to make this, other than your friend obviously encouraging you?
Yeah, I don't remember. I just remember having this idea like years ago. I was telling it to a friend of mine who was a horror person. I was like, oh, and then she like stops and then the squeaking keeps going. He was like, oh, and I was like, oh, okay. So I just like remembered this idea. And then when my friend challenged me, I was like, okay, I have this idea in my back pocket. Let me just try it.
I felt like there was a really good balance between the comedy, the setup of the comedy, to the ending, which is like, oh my gosh, I'm actually scared. I don't watch a lot of horror shorts. Does anyone in the audience have questions?
Yeah.
Lilan? How many days was the shoot? I'm just gonna,
yeah. I didn't want to tire people out, so it was pretty easy, right? It was like 6-7 hours for 2 days.
How many different squeaks did he audition?
Our sound designer could not make it tonight. I just got a text from her, but poor girl. I did put her through a lot. Because we didn't have a Foley artist, we kind of just had whatever she had in her inventory, I guess, and then we just played around with it a lot to get the tempo right and get the sound and the effects right. Like at the end, like I'm pretty proud at the end, those fast steps, because she's doing a lot of like editing of like isolating the sound, yeah. So it was a lot of work. So, yeah. I'll let her know.
You've done different genres, right?
Yeah.
How is doing a horror different than other genres?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, it's, as a filmmaker, what you want to be doing always is kind of like building tension, whether it's a drama, a comedy, or a horror. It's just the difference is the payoff. In a horror, the payoff is, fear. Comedy, it's laughter. So in that sense, like, it wasn't that different to me. I feel like it was just thinking of how to shoot it in a way that was unsettling, as opposed to like putting people at ease or crying or laughing, right? So I don't know. That's kind of the approach I kind of took.
Yeah, I felt like it did a really good job of, it was in the park and then it was in her house, utilizing like two locations in a really smart and economical way.
Yeah. So one of the proudest moments I had was just like the DP we were shooting. He was like, "Who knew you could take a camera on the streets and just shoot it like willy-nilly and it would look so good?" I was like, "I did. That's why I wanted to do it this way." It's like you don't need like a bunch of equipment and money to make something look good. Like, yeah.
What did you shoot with?
Why do you remember? It was like a Sony something. It was Riley's camera. No, it wasn't A7. It was a cinema camera. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. Andrew has a question back there.
What happened to her? What happened to her?
I don't know.
Find
Nobody
out in the
knows.
sequel,
Yeah,
right?
find out the sequel. Yeah. Give me money for a feature. The squeakle.
If you would convert this from horror to comedy, what would you do?
Oh, that's such a good question. I don't know, pie her in the face at the end? Something like that. Yeah, but you get the laugh out, you build it up, and then you release the tension with a joke as opposed to like a jump scare.
Have you done like a lot of comedy before? Because it's like really well balanced. Like the comedy disarms us in a really cool way that makes it scarier actually because we settle into it. But so have you done comedy versus other genres more? Or?
I actually haven't directed comedy yet. I would love to. I mostly do dramas. It's interesting because nobody said it was a horror to begin with, and it was interesting to see people's expectations going in. And I was fine with people laughing. I was like, it's great, because that was part of it. I did want the squeaking to be comedic. But yeah, I should just direct a comedy next.
I challenge you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, how can people find you and work with you in the future?
Oh, crap. I don't know. I'm a very private person, so I don't, post my social media like Instagram, Facebook, or just my Instagram's either Xenosaurus, @Xenosaurus. Yeah.
@Xenosaurus.
Yeah.
All right, and you can talk to him after as well.
Yeah.
Thanks again, that's amazing.
Thank you.
The squeakquel. I cannot wait. So yes, We on the 8th is about this sort of thing where we can share community films and projects, and if you're looking for, a DP or a writer or an actor, this is a good space to find that as well. All right, let's get down to our amazing panelists, seasoned improvisers, and pros in the industry. We had a small change very last minute because Giovanni is still in Europe. So thank you to our amazing actor and writer, Joy Regullano, for joining us. Joy is an actor and writer nominated for Children's Emmy for writing on Sesame Street's Word of the Day series. She wrote on Monsters at Work on Disney+, Kung Fu Panda, Dragon Knight, and can be seen acting on shows like Barry, Supernatural, and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Let's bring up Joy! Next up we have Lilan Bowden, an actor-director known for her amazing roles as Tia on Apple TV Shrinking, Robin Knight on NCIS, Amber Kang on Murderville, and Bex on Andy Mack on Disney. She also produces and I believe is a co-creator on UCB, which is Upright Citizens Brigade's Asian AF. Let's bring up Lilan. Any which way, yes. Asian American actor, writer, and comedian, fresh off their Broadway run on Oh Mary, Chris Renfro has been seen on TV shows like Queer as Folk, Good Trouble, The L Word, Generation Q, Tom Swift, Brooklyn 99, Reno 911, and Pretty Stoned on MTV. Their award-winning podcast, One of Us, with Finn and Chris, is available everywhere in the universe and is not to be confused with the Christian worship podcast, One of Us. Let's bring up Chris Renfro. Alex Song-Xia is an actor, writer, and stand-up comedian known for their Netflix is a Joke comedy special, writing on Rick and Morty, HBO's Night of Too Many Stars, The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and Exploding Kittens, and can be seen on The Week of, Praise Peter, and various Dropout TV projects. Let's bring up Alex. Yay. And last but not least, Oscar Montoya is an actor, comedian, originally hailing from Palmira, Colombia. He starred as Richie in Minx on Stars, Reno 911, and Wizards Beyond Waverly Place. He's also worked on various animated shows like Star Trek Lower Decks, Final Space, and Bless the Hearts. He's also a host of various podcasts like Drag Her and Eurovangelists, and you can see him on various Dropout TV projects. Let's give it up for Oscar! He also has an excellent Olive Garden hat on. So, hello everybody. So glad you could make it out tonight.
Hello.
Hello. This is amazing because everyone here we know from the improv community. Improv has played such a large part in our lives. What has that journey been like for you, and how has it influenced not only your life but your path in the entertainment industry? We can just go down the line.
Oh my gosh, can you repeat the question?
Yes. Improv. What has that journey been like for you, and how has it influenced your life and path in the industry?
Gotcha. Well, I guess the very first time I did improv was in college. So I went in pre-med, and then I switched to theater and Southeast Asian studies. And then there's this Asian American student theater group on campus where I went to, UC Berkeley. And I felt like, these people get it. Like I can do it, and then talk about how my parents are disappointed in me, and they will get it. And we can all feel unworthy together, you know what I mean? So, and then I did improv there, and so that was where I first started. And then after graduating college, then taking classes everywhere I could. So UCB, Second City, Hollywood back then, and then IO West back then. And then auditioning for teams, and getting on indie shows, and then hosting, producing my own shows like sketch shows, and Filipino AF, doing that. And the second part was like, how has that translated into career?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, so I think being part of that scene has been really helpful in terms of like just honing my voice and my sense of like what works in general. Like when you spend a lot of hours like in front of people, you start to feel when they turn, or like when things don't work, or when things do work. You know what I mean? And so you kind of like you have these tricks, or you get tricks like I think over time of like, okay, this tends to work, this tends to not work. If I lost them, how can I get them back? And I think that helps when because writing can be such a solitary activity. So when you know kind of already how it's going to work, when you're at your computer, it helps kind of be a little bit of a step forward versus if you don't have that experience, maybe you don't, you have to test things out, maybe a little more or something like that. And then also like having a community of people to make stuff with has been really nice. So yeah, making shorts and sketches with a community has been helpful. And then also just like being able to be like lithe on your feet, like on set, either as an actor or in the room as a writer, that's been super helpful. It was funny because I had like smallest role, like one-day role on, what was that Apple show about, Mythic Quest. It was a one-day role, and Rob from Always Sunny, yeah. So he was like, he had me just like improv. There was a script, but like he was like, he was threw a bunch of stuff at me. And then he's like, wow, you're really good at this. I'm like, thanks, I've only been doing it for like 10 years, but it was like really nice to be seen and glad that it came out that day, you know, like, oh, thank goodness. And so, yeah, and they were trying to write me into the season more, but it just didn't work out. But just knowing that they tried, you know what I mean? Like, that was really cool, and like, all this work, even though maybe improv can sometimes feel like do I really have any tangible benefits from doing this thing? And I can definitely feel existential sometimes about, and I've had phases in my life where like I should do less of this because it takes a lot of time and money, but then I'll miss it, because it's an art in itself. So, and then I also personally, this was not part of the question, but I met my boyfriend auditioning for Herald teams at UCB. So personally, it has helped so far. So
We love to hear it. We love love. Lilan?
Improv has been most of my life now that I think about it. I joined a comedy sports troupe which does short form improv in my high school sophomore year, and then I was just like, okay, well, this works forever now. It's so, I mean, I just like owe so much to the art of improv. I started in high school, I did it in college, and then when I got out here, the world of entertainment is so daunting, especially for somebody who's a complete outsider. I didn't know anybody when I moved here. And so I knew that I just liked this art that is, I mean, it costs money when you take classes, but it's free to do. You can just do it, like, you can get a couple of friends together in a living room. You can rent out a space and everybody pays like $10 and you can practice together. You can hire a coach, and then there's people who have in this town who have taken upon themselves to put up shows, who are just looking for teams. I'm going to make this pitch right now. I am a co-producer of a show called Asian AF. And we are looking for we're looking for improv teams that have all Asian players on them to feature, and right, we've been kicking around a lot the same community for a long time, but we're really looking to see who's fresh and new now. It's been really a grounding force for my life because it's always been able to be there despite what the industry does. You can always just do, and it's also given me weirdly enough, my dignity back. Like, it's also taken it away. But I have like these days, these really loaded days in my mind of my career so far in Los Angeles where I tested for a pilot and I just really stunk it, and then I go to do a show in a black box theater for 30 people and we are laughing and we are having such a great time. And I'm like, oh, just because, Mr. Suits didn't love what I did, it doesn't mean that I am useless. I'm not worthless, So it's always just been a really great touchstone and anchor for anybody who's got a curiosity about improv at all. You don't even have to want to perform or want to climb a ladder or whatever. Anybody who's got a curiosity at all should sign up for a class. Just a class. It's gonna be a big bucks right up top, but then you find people out of it, and then you can kind of sneak by after that. My best friend from college, she took, I believe that she did the whole UCB program. Turns out she took a class in New York and has just been sneaking by this whole time. We've had our own run of our show at the UCB theater. Nobody asked. Nobody. Even though it's possible to dump a lot of money, and which I have, into my hobby, it doesn't have to be that way. And the benefits are just exponential. All my buddies, these are all my buddies. We all know each other, you guys, and it's from improv. Even if we discovered each other in different ways. My husband, also another white guy named Nick. Embarrassing but true for
I'm looking for my Nick.
Everybody deserves their white improv Nick. We were improv. We produced an improv festival together before we ever went out on a date. So there's just a lot of really awesome people in this crew that does it just for the love. So if you're looking for awesome people and if you're looking to do something for the love of it, I would recommend it. Okay.
Don't do improv. I started doing improv in college very begrudgingly, and I think looking back it was because I was so annoyed with doing musical theater that I just needed to release something. And then I found UCB in New York, the like dirty basement one. Is that UCB Chelsea? Well, yeah. And then came here and did UCB and Groundlings. Fun fact, I've never paid for an improv class.
See?
I've lucked out.
See, it's possible.
Yeah, I've never paid
But
for a
with your
single
blood,
thing.
sweat, and tears?
Oh, yeah, sure, I guess, yeah. And I do a lot of sketch as well. It helped me find that, and I'd say the majority of my friends are from like the improv and sketch community. And like in terms of career stuff, sure, it helps with auditions and being on set or on stage or whatever. I guess like I don't really ever stress out about something going wrong now because I know that we'll be able to get out of it, or more importantly, just remembering that nothing is ever that serious, that if like a mistake happens, it's not going to end anything, usually. But I think the most important thing is that I just feel comfortable talking to anyone now after doing improv with so many strangers who just don't get it. You have to go through so many classes with people who maybe are only ever going to do that the one time. And maybe don't like doing it at all, but you still have to go up there and perform with them, and you're like, oh, right, this isn't so bad. Like, we can find our own fun together. I think that's been the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, I was going to say on that note, not everyone who does improv is an actor. And actually, I have a friend who I encouraged to do improv because he was a lawyer, and he just told me that like that has helped his career like 20-fold. So if you're not an actor and you're just like, oh, I'm a writer, or I'm not even in the industry, it could be a good idea to just get thrown in, and it'll help your mind be flexible and moldable and be able to handle conflict a lot better, in my humble opinion.
If you're a neurosurgeon and you're sort of confused, like, I'm like, don't worry, I took 301.
So I started improv because I wanted to be an actor. I did really want to act as a kid, and my mom was just like, we don't do that. So freshman year of college, I signed up for an improv class at UCB New York. Dropped out of college because I wasn't going to classes and just hoped improv would work out. It hasn't. No, it's been okay.
Help me.
Please help. I owe everything to UCB and improv, and I met my manager from a UCB sketch teammate who she also represented. We've been working together for 9 years, and all my professional TV jobs have been through her. And even it is a little bit who you know, but it's who you know are other improv people, and it was someone else from the same sketch night as me that recommended me for Rick and Morty years after we had done sketch together. I've dated a bunch of improvisers. I'm no longer wishing to continue that. Yeah.
I started doing improv. Before I did improv, I had a career in dance. I used to be a professional dancer. And when I was auditioning for dance stuff, I had terrible stage fright that would affect my auditions, and I was having a really hard time navigating that and the networking part of it as well. And I was just I don't know what to do. A friend of mine named Chopper said oh, you should take an improv class. And I'm like, no, I'm not funny. That's so scary. Absolutely not. And they were like, don't worry, lawyers take it. It's fine. Not everyone is an actor in that class. And I was like, okay, I'll try it if it makes me feel a little more comfortable. And I took it. And I hated it because everybody wanted to be an actor and was like, I want to be on SNL. And I'm like, I'm stuttering. I can't even speak right now. So during the break, I left and I didn't come back. And I was like, this is not for me. But I was obsessed with this idea of like people coming up with something out of nothing, like just the concept of improv, which I was never really familiar with, was so confusing to me. And it became an obsession of mine. So I would go to see shows and sort of like analyze how people came up with stuff. And I did it for 2 whole years and was like, maybe I should go back and do it. So I started at UCB in New York, and it was very scary over there. So I went to another place called the People's Improv Theater in New York, and they were a little chiller there. And because of that, I was like, okay. And then there was lawyers there, and I was like, okay, this feels good. But through that, I was able to meet with a bunch of people that like got my sense of humor, or like more than anything, they like understood me, which was difficult at the time because a lot of the improv landscape was very cis, straight, white men who had like a very specific concept of what comedy was, and I felt very much like out of the loop, or like just not funny or understood in any way. Like they would do scenes where they were in Star Wars universe, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. Oh no. And so I felt like lost, but then once I stuck with it, I found other POC and other voices that were like, oh my gosh, you too, you know? And I was like, okay, great. And I think the biggest thing about improv is the sense of community. And that sort of translates into the professional aspect of it. You know, I didn't have any sort of goals to become a professional comedian or actor in any way. I had an injury that prevented me from dancing professionally, so I don't do it anymore. But I realized that like, oh, maybe I should just go with the flow. And that's the big thing that improv has taught me, to just be like, accept things as they come. Like everything is sort of a gift. Like whatever situation happens, like it'll work out, you know? And through that, I was able to stick around and then find a manager after doing a showcase for, this was a very long time ago. They were doing an In Living Color reboot. And
Girl, 1992.
Yeah, yeah. I've been doing improv since 1870. No, so no, this was like 2012 or something like that. But they were and I was like just starting out, and they were like, we need someone of color to be in the showcase of In Living Color. You're brown, come do it. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so I went, but because of that, I was able to get representation, and like that sort of like, again, it's like writing the current for me. And I think that's the biggest thing about improv, is accepting things and them all being gifts, you know? So also like the collaborative aspect of it. There's a reason like Alex is like an incredible stand-up, like truly an incredible stand-up. Go watch their special, please. But that's scary for me. I live in the community, right? Like, and so for me, it's all about like building stuff together. So professionally speaking, when there's like an audition or a show, or like when I'm shooting something, I will always improvise something. And if they hate it, they're like, shut up. And I'll be like, okay. But sometimes they're like, wait, we kind of like that. Can you do more of that? And I'll be like, okay. And then it ends up being collaborative. And that's the cool thing about, that can happen in the industry sometimes, you know? Sometimes where you're like, oh, I have to pretend to be someone I'm not, acting. But really what they want is like, no, we want you to do it, you know? And that's something that improv has taught me to do. The end.
So true. And also it should be noted that like, even if Oscar said, oh, he didn't like improv at first, I believe Oscar is also a teacher of improv.
I am. I teach it. I don't just do it. I teach it as well. Yeah, I teach at the Upright Citizens Brigade. I teach 201, 301, 401, and advanced studies. So if anyone has finished, that's all the levels.
That's it.
I am UCB. That's me. A brown gay man is Upright Citizens Brigade. Yes, I teach it. I love it. It's my favorite thing. It brings me the most joy. because I get to play. As adults, when do we get to do that? You know, with improv, you do it all the time in front of people. That's crazy. The end.
Yeah, to piggyback off of what he said earlier, a lot of us, at least in the improv community, know that for a long time it has been very non-POC dominant. So that's forced us to create our own sub-communities where we can perform and have a platform. Like Lilan and Chris producing Asian AF, Gaysian AF, Filipino AF to create that space for us. Have you guys seen a lot of our community becoming more diverse since then? And what challenges have you faced or felt like we're tackling or still tackling and gotten over? I know it kind of parallels like the Hollywood entertainment industry as a whole, but it should be noted that for a long time, maybe even like before the pandemic, improv felt very non-POC dominant. How has it been like for you, and have you felt creating this space for us has helped things? That's a loaded question, but.
I think that the landscape is vastly different than it was 10 years ago when I started, and that's in part to Asian AF and shows like that, but also like a conscious decision by the part of like the community as a whole. Like there are a lot of allies in the community that are very aware and like are always trying to diversify their lineup. The UCB, where we're all sort of like home based at, they are also very aware of it, and they are trying to diversify their house teams and shows when they can. But
I mean, they always can.
yeah. Well, not if I have anything to do about it, okay? They're trying the best against my better wishes.
You secret MAGA.
Secret? No.
Oh, sorry. I didn't want to
No, go, please.
Well, Kim, you're saying, because of like there was a very white dominant culture in the improv community. We were forced to create our own sub communities. We weren't forced. No one was forcing us. No one was even like trying. It does take. You're saying like not just allies, but it does take a couple of very determined people, just a couple, to really, really like change up a landscape. And this is something that like I try to remember, that it's like, things just don't happen. Things don't just get diverse. It does take a couple of people that like have some vision here, And so there's one person on this panel who is responsible for all of the AFs, or two people, Keiko Agena and Will Choi. These people saw a need at a place that was growing with a lot of people, but because there wasn't the imagination for a structure of multiple people of color on the same team at the time, they were like, well, what does that look like? Let's just do that. And so they were like, okay, if you are an Asian person on a team, let's just do our show. Let's just start there, and let's just expand from there. And so it does take people that are just have an idea that it might fail, but then they just do it anyway. And then when it doesn't fail, it rocks, because now there's Filipino AF, there's Asian AF, there's South Asian AF, there's Gaysian AF. There's all like these offshoots, and the communities that already existed, the improv groups like Cold Tofu and these groups that were around long before us, we find each other, and then we all just get collective power, like Transformers. Is that
like a Voltron?
Yeah, like I was like, you're gonna say Voltron, aren't you?
Whoa! I perform on a team called Voltron, and now I know why we're called that. Not really. Someone just named us that. It's been cool in my experience. I started improv at the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater in Los Angeles in 2007 or 2008. So I not only was like the only Asian person, I was the only girl. It felt like at that time. There were like 5 of us kicking around, like just me and Eugene Cordero, And
Famous girl.
Very, very famous girl. I've been able to kind of watch it on all sides and feel the change in me as well, because when you are given a structure like that, then you're like, okay, then then you limit your own worth based on the structure you're given. So it really does behoove us to think bigger, better, stronger outside of what we're given all the time, because that's how it changes. And then once we got one or a couple people who are making cracks on the system, then it's really easy for that dam to break, I feel like, you know, because then we're just like, well, we can, and look how much fun we're having too. Yeah, it's been great that I didn't have to do all the work. It's been awesome that I didn't have to do all the work, and it's been great that I've been around peers who have shown me my own worth at a time where I didn't really think I had it, and that goes for improv and for Hollywood too. You know, a lot of us have lived through the time where you know how many ethnic best friends I have auditioned for? You know how many ethnic sassy, sexually promiscuous ethnic best friends I have auditioned for? My goodness, that's where they keep us.
Mousy assistants.
What do you?
Mousy assistants.
Mousy assistants, yes. If you, just put on a pair of glasses, you know, and then you're up for that. And so that's just what I thought my only aim could be. But thank goodness through the swirl of people who are innovative and dedicated and fun to be around, now we've got something that we can really use and play with. But it starts with us. It doesn't just happen, you know? So like, people got ideas, do those ideas, you know? Like, please do those ideas. I don't want to do any work again.
I think also it takes like visibility too. Like, if you're not seeing people that like reflect you or your experiences, you don't think it's for you. So then even just like, I think I'm you know, the personal is political. So it's like about putting yourself out there and creating things that you want to do. Just by you being on stage, it sends a political message to an audience being like, whoa, I can do that too. Oh my gosh, there does, like, if this person could do it, I can do that too. And it not just in improv, but in all media, yeah? So it's a weird thing. It's like we don't think it's possible if we don't visualize it to be possible. So I like for y'all, like y'all putting yourselves out there is sort of a calling card to other people to be like, we can do that too. It takes just your presence. And that doesn't really it takes work to like make yourself sort of available to be on these stages. But once you're there, it's like just you being your authentic self is the effort, is the work to translate to other people to be like, I can do that. I can activate as well.
Yeah, I think with like shows like Asian AF, which Will and Keiko also brought to New York in 2017, it was like before that, I had such a mindset of scarcity. Like another Asian person in my improv class was competition. There was only one Asian person on Lloyd night, this whole thing. And then they brought this show over, and suddenly, like, not only was the entire stage full of Asian comedians, but like the whole audience at UCB East, like I'd never seen that many Asian people at UCB before, and it truly felt magical. And Chris and I are also on an all like queer trans team at UCB right now, and our audiences too are like, there's always allies, but it's also like for us, like the audience reflects back who we are, and it's just really cool to see.
And you can feel the energy in all of these shows that we're talking about.
Because we say so many homophobic jokes.
It's terrible, the things that I say.
Yeah, Chris's should be stopped.
It's crazy that they live stream that.
But I will say too, having shows like Cuties, I say this because I'm a teacher. I teach at Upright Citizens. No kidding. Seeing so many trans and non-binary students come through because they're seeing shows like y'all's show, seeing Asian students watching Asian AF and like being like, oh, I can see that. Oh, this looks fun. Oh, I'm gonna sign up for class. You're like building in that sort of like that circle of like your presence is feeding the sort of creative minds of tomorrow, you know? But they wouldn't have known if you didn't put up that show. Does that make sense? So it's just magical. Just go do stuff, please, everyone.
Yeah,
I take my classes at UCB. kidding.
Well, to add on to all of that, exactly what Alex said. Like, I knew of the other Asians, but I wasn't really friends with them. And then after these shows, like, we all started hanging out, and we all became friends, and now we see movies together. You know what I mean?
We've gone to Hawaii together.
Yeah, we've gone to Hawaii together. Yeah, we've gone to San Francisco together, and so yeah, it's been really cool. Like, and people are like, "How do you know that person?" Like, from Asian stuff. You know what I mean? So it's just really cool. And then the other thing I wanted to, what Lilan was saying made me think of that quote. Maybe someone else knows it better, but it's that one that says, "Never doubt the power of a small group of dedicated people to change the world. In fact, it is the only thing that ever has." So.
You did that good. That was Margaret Mead.
Was that in
Yeah,
Fantastic
I don't know anything
Four?
else about her except she did that quote.
Fantastic
Superman.
Four.
It was Fantastic Four or Superman quoted it.
Yeah, wasn't a man made of rock the one who said that?
Oh, okay.
Yes, the character man made of rock.
Very close. Yeah, and it's also important to note that outside of Groundlings, Second City, UCB, which are the ones, those are the names that we think of. There's a huge indie improv scene as well, and there's other smaller schools that people are going to, and they create teams, and then like the rest of the community gets to know them, and that's a really cool route to go as well. So it doesn't need to be like, I'm putting down a down payment on my improv classes. But if you want, you should take Oscar's class, definitely.
I'm fun.
Kim's on a PAC team, right?
I was on a PAC team for a while, and I'm on the west side, so we have smaller options. But I still do some improv indie here and there.
The world's greatest improv school, Sarah Classful, Asian American, is one of the founders / people who runs that school. So yeah, many options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I would say in just creating stuff in general, like if improv scene's so daunting, like writing something from your own personal perspective, collaborating with someone from your both, personal perspective. The fact that you made a movie in 14 hours with a small group of people, it's possible. These are not stories that are shared, because I think a lot of people are like, it's hard to make content. Look at all the money that I had to spend, and look at the leagues of people working behind me. But it's like, no, you were able to make a really cool short in a short amount of time, and it looked great. So it's possible. Please create stuff. The end.
Yes. Now for the industry part, which we've been talking about, but I think a lot of our audience is maybe less familiar with what you all have done. Let's go down the line, because you all have so many credits. I guess if you haven't said it already, how long have you been in the industry? And maybe 1 or 2 projects that you're most proud of, and maybe talk a little bit about how you got involved in that project. I guess it doesn't need to be in order, popcorn style. Yes.
We'll go in order.
Teacher. Teacher.
Okay. I started the industry. Well, I got representation in 2012 from the Living Color reboot. Didn't happen, by the way. It died. Anyway, but I moved here in 2015, and that's sort of when I got serious about pursuing theatrical work. And one of the biggest gigs that I've ever done was a show called Minx on HBO and Stars as well. And it was that casting process was so weird, because it happened, that was the last audition I went on before quarantine happened. It was 2 days before quarantine, the shutdown happened. And I went in there, and the show is about a feminist writer working with a sleazy porn director, and them creating essentially Playgirl magazine. And I play the photographer that takes pictures of nude men. It's a good show. And so I auditioned for it, and I was like, okay, well, the world is falling apart, so nothing happened. And the shutdown happened in March, I believe. And I didn't hear anything at all. And in the moments while that was happening, I was also getting called back for A24 project. and I want to say I had like maybe 10 callbacks for that job, and it was so excruciating, so much work. It was for a drama, can you believe? But it kept going really well, and I was like, oh, this is gonna work out for me. Ultimately, they didn't go with me, and I was like devastated. But then after that, they were like, hey, you're still in the run for this random ass show, and I was like, oh, really? And then I auditioned. I like booked that off of one audition, which like never ever happens. And so I went in there being like, imposter syndrome, engage, you know? So I was fully like, they'll know I'm bad at stuff. But the cool thing was that the showrunner and writer, Ellen Rappaport, was so great about being like, you came in with a very specific energy that I loved, and I don't want to change any of that. Here are the lines, but if you don't want to say these lines, you don't have to. And I was like, oh, what? And so like I was able to improvise a whole lot of stuff, and like they kept a lot of the stuff that I said, and you know, and it was like that really I felt so like spoiled a lot, because that rarely I booked another big thing and they were like, don't just say the words on the script. But you know, the fact that they were able to like be like, yeah, let's work together, it's collaborative, this is a family, like that to me was like the best experience ever. So everyone watch Minx.
Everyone should watch
Really
Minx.
good.
I just binged all of it a month ago because I didn't want to support Oscar in real time.
It's canceled. I'll watch it.
It's so good, and the season 2 arc, it does get dramatic with Oscar's character Richie. So you should check it out.
Thanks, Alex.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't watch it.
Wait,
earlier.
well, now it's your turn.
Oh, okay. I guess I started in the industry. My first TV writing job was in 2016. My first like big job was writing on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. At the time I was there, it was like about 10 sketch writers, 10 monologue writers, and I was the only writer of color. And I was very aware that like right before me, the writers with the shortest stints were also like the only writers of color. Grateful for my time there, and but yeah, definitely have friends who also cycled through there, and were like, we felt like each other were the competition, the other like POC writers, and it was so nice to be able to talk after they had left, to be like, oh, okay, we had the same experience. And then during the pandemic, I started writing on Rick and Morty remotely, but that was when I moved to LA in 2021. I'd say the thing I'm most proud of is just like a short film I directed 2 years ago. And I had asked Lilan to direct, and then she was so busy but still tried to do it. Like she was like, I'm directing this
But
other
I did
thing.
not.
And then
I ended up not.
and then there's all these other things, but I can do it. But you gave such great notes, and also we at one point auditioned my mom to play my mom in it.
That was one of the highlights of my career. as
Crazy
a
that she
director.
didn't get a direct offer.
She had no audition, and then ultimately she turned us down. She said she was really busy. So
you got Keiko as your mom.
So Keiko played my mom.
Yes.
Met through improv.
You got a Gilmore Girl.
I will say-
adjacent.
Yes. I like any person I meet in the industry will be like, how do you know Keiko? And I'm like, improv, Asian AF. But yeah, that's the thing I'm most proud of. And also, yeah, prioritize hiring all POC crew behind the camera as well. And yeah, still mad at Lilan for dropping out, but
As you should be. I said I would direct it, and then I got too busy, and I auditioned your mom.
yeah, no, that's the biggest service you've ever done.
But it turned out so good.
Oh, thank you.
It turned out so good, and it's all you. Like it's your. It's. I mean,
keep
it's
trying
great.
to cut you off. Thank you. It was that audition. We did it over Zoom. Me and my mom were in person in New Jersey, and Lilan zoomed in from LA, and that was the one like half hour that made my mom respect acting. She was like, "Wow, Leland's so thoughtful, and acting is hard."
a service to the community in
Yeah,
a way.
yeah.
Shall I go?
Please.
Okay. My very first professional acting job in theater was doing the Reindeer Monologues, which was a Christmas play at the Chance Theater in Orange County. And then I did a musical off Broadway my senior year of college and decided that I hated doing musical theater. At the time, the only like space for people of color was in the Heights. Like, I don't even think. No, Hamilton wasn't even out yet. So it was like there was nothing. I was like, I don't think I can do an entire career doing In the Heights and the Flower drum song. So maybe we do something else. And then I did improv. So I came out to LA and thought I was just gonna be like a live comedian forever. And I was like really against doing TV and film. But during one of the Filipino AF shows, the casting department at CBS had come and seen the show, and they like asked me to audition for the CBS showcase, and I said no, thank you. But our friend Nikki McKenzie was like, "Oh, are you stupid? You have to do that," and she physically forced me to do it. She like dragged me into a room and said, "You're not going to leave until we write your audition." And I got in, and so we did that, and I started doing TV and film auditions in 2019, and a year and a half later, we're in the pandemic, and I was like, I haven't really booked anything at all. Maybe I'm just gonna quit. So one of the first/last auditions in the pandemic was for Queer as Folk. And at that point, I was just sort of like, well, I'm in my bedroom doing an audition, and at that time, that was like such a crazy notion that I was like, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna do whatever I want. So I just kind of like threw away the script and improvised most of it. And I ended up booking it in my bedroom. And I was like, oh, okay. I got the call that I booked it as I was drafting an email to my rep saying that I was quitting acting and that I was gonna go to grad school for science.
Wow.
Grad school for what?
For science.
Which science?
Just general science?
just discovering science, yeah. And so then as I was on that call crying and taking selfies to remember the moment, I like clicked out of that and was like, okay, guess I'm gonna be an actor on TV now. That is like one of the things I'm most proud about is Queer as Folk. It was one of the first times I was ever on camera. And being on set, the showrunner really was an advocate for me, for all of the following directors to like allow me to improvise whatever I wanted. So most of my stuff on that show is improvised, and it just feels so cool to be able to look at it and be like, wow, like I did that, which was really cool. The other thing I'm very proud of is Oh Mary that I did this year on Broadway, which was my Broadway debut. And I got that through someone that was on Queer as Folk, in a way. He invited me to a table read of his very first play that he had written. And he was like, Chris, I thought of you. I know that you do UCB. This part requires one guy to play 10 different people. And I think that you do characters, which I'm like, well, sure. So I canceled a trip to Costa Rica with my best friend because he told me that the director of this play that he'd written was Sam Pinkleton, who is the director of Oh Mary. And I was like, something is telling me I should do that. So I did that. Then we took a workshop to New York, and while we were there, I asked if I could go see Oh Mary. He said, no, even I can't get tickets, but I can source you one for $200, which was the sum total of what they were paying us for the workshop. And I saw the show, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I should do that. And I text Sam after 2 wines. I was like, can you please let me audition when you go on tour? And he's like, yeah, I think that's a good idea. And then 3 weeks later, I got the audition for The Replacement on Broadway. 3 weeks later, and I auditioned behind the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. Yeah, I did it.
In a graveyard?
Like in a way, like a
The
weird
spirit
apartment.
of Abraham Lincoln is giving you.
And that was my only audition, was just with Sam and the casting director in an apartment behind the cemetery. I don't remember the question. I just sort of started talking.
I also want everyone to know that Chris Renfro is an incredibly talented director as well. They're one of the best to do it. You are so incredible as a director.
Oh, thank you.
Incredible.
Thank you. It's the only time I have control.
And
You
a
do
sound
well.
designer.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sound design.
You do sound design?
I do.
Do you like to?
I do. Yeah. I started a master's program in it, and then I left.
Science.
Chris, you're just and your secret MAGA.
Yeah, so
You
not
can
true.
do
That's
everything
the lore.
too.
That's the lore.
Chris was
That's
so good on
amazing.
Broadway. I got to pay $200 to see them on Broadway.
I got you the same deal
Yes,
Sam
yes,
gave me.
Very good deal. It was the best seats I've ever had.
Yes, the question was, what are you most proud of or a project? And so I believe that it falls in line. Yeah,
Slay.
slay.
I landed in LA in '07. It was right out of college, and started at UCB. Started doing extra work. I was a hostess at Kabuki Restaurant, and then I upgraded to being a barista at Alcove Cafe and Bakery. Hello, my career achievement, my most proud. Honestly, I loved my time there. It was awesome. And honestly, like, I don't really have a moment of like when I entered the industry, because I've been sneaking around the industry for years and years and years before I even realized that I could have any job at all in this. I mean, it felt so impossible. '08 was the writer's strike, and so that's just when everything, the first time. And I just kind of got used to the idea. It's like, I'll just pursue this for the rest of my life and make no money, and that will just be fine, I guess. So my first jobs were like hookups through UCB. Like a lot of people got a lot of Adult Swims that were teachers at UCB, Adult Swim shows, like all these parody shows called Newsreaders and NTSF, SDSUV, and another one that's a parody show. And so I got, like, that was one of my first jobs, as like a one-line part on these parody shows. And there was this big cropping up comedy, like, whole community that was connected to UCB. FunnyOrDie.com got started. College Humor got started. And we all kind of knew each other. We're all just kind of hooking each other up like this in little ways and forms, and trying to do our own stuff. Like, it was like a big deal if you did a sketch and you got it featured on Funny or Die front page. Oh my goodness, paying you no money. We loved it. And so then, like, my first agencies I auditioned for, I got rejected because they were like, "You're cute, but you don't know anybody. We have nothing to do." For people who are, I don't know how many people are in the industry or aspiring, and looking for reps too. But I found that reps was like the last thing to fall in line. Like they're there to make money. So if you don't come with anything, then they're like, "Well, all right." But like after I did some plays in Los Angeles. I was taking dramatic classes and UCB classes and stuff, and I was auditioning for TV and film finally, but it didn't feel like I had a career because I was only auditioning, and then I started auditioning for pilots and testing for pilots and getting really close. Turns out you still don't have a career if you don't make it on the television, so by the time I actually landed on like TV regularly, I was like, this is too weird. I just auditioned. That's what I do. But my biggest achievement, I think, is the thing that I was like finally like ready for, where all the stars aligned, which was Disney Channel came out with a new show called Andy Mack about a 13-year-old girl who finds out that her older sister is actually her mother, and it was really provocative for Disney Channel. And Disney, weirdly enough, is the only place that like I've really seen has done truly colorblind casting, because they're casting kids. Not a lot of kids can hold a show, so who can hold it? So that's when really the playing field becomes a lot more level. And they happened to cast a Hapa Asian girl as the lead, and so when that breakdown came into my inbox, it came with a picture of her, and I was like, I can do this. I think this one's for me. But also, it just like I was flexible. I had been in the tumble dry so long. They needed somebody who, and Disney was promoting this as like a more dramatic show. This was not a multi-cam. This was a single cam. They wanted somebody who could hold some weight, but it still had to be light because it was a child audience too. So like that was one of those things where I felt like, oh, I think this is mine. And when I came in, the people on the other side were like, I think this is yours. Like that happens. There is kismet out there, where it's just like, oh, they're looking for someone who can do comedy and drama, who's this age, who is this look, who can hold jokes, who's good with kids, So that show ran for 3 years, and it's probably one of my most proudest things that I've done. Another thing that I've done is I directed a short called Becoming Eddie, and that was written by a friend of mine about his experience as the only Korean kid in his New Jersey suburb, just surrounded by white people who had just like a love of Eddie Murphy. And so we changed everything. He became like just a made-up comedian called Eddie Myers, who was actually more like Andrew Dice Clay. But like there was so much of our lives, so much of our like passion in that thing. It was about an Asian kid trying to fit in. And so there was so much that when he asked me to direct it that I could that I had to contribute in that. And when that film came out, it did a film circuit. You can see it on my website, lilandirects.com, if you're interested. But it touched so many different people, and it like caught the attention of a Latinx producer at Sony, a development person at Sony, who's like, it's not my story, but it is my story, So being able to put your heart and soul in something like that, to make something that touches people like that also is good. It's just like, woo, you can do that, and then everything else is just fun. Everything else just pays money, but and this did not pay money. This it paid some money. Sony like bought it and held it for a while to see if they could shop it, but not, big money. But I mean, that's what life's about, That was tasty.
Let's see. My first industry thing was so I'm from Orange County, Bonaparte Fullerton. Shout out. No one ever shouts out. Even if you're from there, nobody.
I'll
like,
shout out
cheers
Fullerton.
about it.
I went to school at UCI. I know what Fullerton is.
Nice. You know what it is. Awesome.
Sorry, that wasn't really a shout out at all.
No, I love it. Honestly, it's all right. It's something I've dealt with my whole life. But wow. Okay, so during the summer, I just went back to my parents' house, and then I interned at Fairly Odd Parents / Tough Puppy at Nickelodeon. And so that was really cool because it was my favorite show when I was 10 and Timmy was 10, and I had a crush on Timmy Turner, a fake character. And so that was so fun. And then from there, first professional acting job, 2011, after I graduated college, and then first writing fellowship that I got was the Sesame Street Writing Fellowship in 2017, and then first staff writing job 2019. I guess those are some highlights, but I worked at restaurants for 9 years before that, while auditioning, while writing, all that stuff. And then, some of the things I've been most proud of, or that I've felt most fulfilled working on. Let's see, Sesame Street, even though I didn't really want to write for preschool, and it's not my favorite thing, but Sesame Street has just so much like emotional and brand cachet, so it's the thing that when I tell people, oh, Sesame, they're like, oh, wow, Sesame Street. So that's been pretty cool, and also like, I never get over like I write Cookie Monster and then Cookie Monster will say it, it's like really cool. Being nominated for I woke up to that email in my inbox, I'm like, I'm Emmy nominated. Wow, that's so cool. And being a freelance writer can be so like disconnecting and lonely because it's like I send in my script and then sometimes they rewrite every single line and I'm like, wow, you still credited me. That's generous. You know what I mean? But then like to still be asked again and again, it's like, okay, maybe I'm doing something. And I did hear something on another panel at some point that like it's just impossible to get it right as a freelance writer. You just can't because you're not there. You're not there on the exec notes. You're not there developing the property. You just can't, and they know that. So that helps me feel a little better. But anyway, doing that has been really fulfilling, and being part of I got to write one of the intro videos for the first Korean American Muppet, Ji-young. So it was really cool to be part of that rollout. I'm like, wow, this is a moment in history for Sesame, and this will affect so many kids out there. And I had a niece about that age, although my sister didn't show them, I don't think. I don't know. That's a subject for another show, I guess. And then another writing job that felt really fulfilling was Monsters at Work, because it was like a beloved legacy property. I was a huge Pixar fan growing up, and so it was so cool to like write Sully and to write Mike, and then John Goodman and Billy Crystal said those words. Like, oh my gosh, like wow, did he question one of my jokes? Yes. But but it's still really cool, you know. And yeah, and just the humor felt perfect. It's perfectly suited to what I write. The other shows I wrote on were like cool, but this one felt most like my voice. Like it's like okay, it's something that's like a sort of serious emotional story through line, but lots of very funny jokes that. Some of the jokes are really dumb, and some of the jokes are not dumb. Some of the jokes are really smart. And I think one of the jokes, I don't know if it made it in, but it was like one of the monsters at like the bad energy building was like talking to a bull and was like, yeah, you make me feel bad about myself. I have to say affirmations every day. And I think that made it in. So I got to like pitch jokes like that about mental health, and it made it in, you know. And then, let's see, the other part of your, I guess that was it. I guess as far as personal things that I felt really fulfilled working on, like I wrote and performed a solo show about like my experiences recovering from addiction and dysfunctional family and stuff like that. So that was very scary and like that is fulfilling in its own way of like, wow, like I did that, you know what I mean? I stood in front of an audience for an hour and just talked. That's crazy. And then also my musical supportive white parents, like just like being able to just fully be myself and like I get to be the boss, you know what I mean? Like, because in the industry generally I'm not the boss. Like I have to show up to set or I have to show up to this writer's room and some old white guy is running it. But for this, I'm the boss of everything I make, the shorts, like I get to, I set the tone.
You're the old white guy of your own
I'm the
show.
old white guy.
Yeah.
Yes, it is me. But I've always been because I'm a fan of Toto, but and Weezer. But yeah, I guess that's it.
That is incredible. Yes. I was wondering if we could just, before we get into the audience Q&A, maybe just one takeaway from one like improv lesson that you've kind of taken with you in your life. Because I feel like we were all saying like, you don't make a lot of money doing improv. You're doing it because you're passionate about it and there's just this ephemeral beauty to what we do. So yeah, maybe just one takeaway or lesson from improv that you've really absorbed and carried with you.
Things are almost always better when you're working on it together, like in the true collaborative spirit.
The idea behind improv comedy is that you're when you're with other people and they give you a reality, you say yes to that reality and you add something to it. And I totally lean on that in my life, where it's like we are constantly given a reality, you know, and to instead of deny ourselves from that, be like, and this is what I will contribute, you know, and just having, especially, you know, we're going through some really weird times right now. So it's just like to be able to have the power to accept it and say, and this is what I contribute to it, I think is just like a great life thing.
I think improv taught me there's always more ideas. You don't have to be precious about it. There's always more.
I always say improv is the theater of failure, which I love so much because if that's true, then we can't wait to fail, you know? Like, we're gonna strive for doing things correctly, but in improv, something will fail. And that's like the game of the scene, the funny thing, yeah? And it taught me not to be precious with things so much, because as creatives, we want everything to be perfect in our brains before it transfers into a script or into a poem or whatever your creative medium is. But there's something quite fun in embracing something without judging it and being like, it's gonna suck. Maybe not, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And that's something that I love, because from my dance background, I've been taught to be perfect all the time. And improv is disassembling of that notion of like, no, the weird part, and comedy too, in particular, it's like the weird parts, the vulnerable parts, the messy parts, the not perfect parts, that's the thing that resonates with people and can connect with people. So like, yeah, don't strive for perfection. It just strive for something, you know?
For me, I guess two quick things. One is the idea of first thought, best thought, and that's what they encourage you to. When you step out, first thought is great. So yeah, so not to be too precious about anything, and that whatever your associates say, they treat them like poets and geniuses. So I think going through life too with that of like supporting your job maybe in life is to support whoever you're with. Like I don't know, awkward networking event. Well, if I'm just interested and curious how these other people are and how I can support them, then that makes me feel less in my head and less like a crazy weirdo. You know what I mean? So and then the other thing that for improv that I've taken away is like there was one show that I did at like I don't know like midnight or 11:30 p.m. at the IO Loft back in the day. And the only person that was there was the person in the tech booth. And it was like a 30-minute herald. And I got through that and I didn't die. And there was like, I don't know. So I was like, if I got through that and I didn't die, then I can do anything. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sometimes you're doing a show for like one person, sometimes you're doing a show for like hundreds of people. And there's just this magic where you're connecting with one person it's almost just as magical as when you're connecting with multiple people. And sometimes it is in the failures or in the mistakes where that's like the nugget of that's the gem that leads you to something else that's even better than you could have thought before. So thank you, everyone. Let's get some audience questions. If you have one, please raise your hand, and I will bring the mic to you, or I can't bring the mic to you. You're too far. Okay.
Chris, I know you said you're looking for a white actor Nick, but would you be open to a white fitness Nick?
Ooh. Yeah, send him my way.
We love that.
I'll figure out something to do with him.
I know, wait. Yeah, that's like the
We
opposite
got
of
improv Nicks.
Do you ever incorporate dance into your teaching improv?
Yes, I do.
Sorry, the question is, do you ever incorporate dance into improv, just for the people on
Yeah.
stream?
And also the fitness, white fitness Nick too, just so the people know.
If
Andrea
you're a
was-
white fitness Nick,
Yes.
my Instagram is at the meat skeleton.
Thank you.
Yes, I that was the beginning of my like improv stuff was all movement based improv. I currently teach a class called the Soundtrack Herald, which is ideas generated not from premises, not from like speaking out ideas, but through movement and following patterns of movement that we can then develop ideas for scenes set to music. So like, yeah, I've always been in touch with movement stuff. There's a team that I perform with called The Score. That's all silent improv. That's all physical and dance. And yeah, it's fun.
And when's that?
I don't know. We used to perform pre-pandemic all the time. Now less so. But yeah, it's called The Score. So keep your eyes peeled for that.
I just wondered, where do you teach?
I teach improv at the Upright Citizens.
Amazing. Great. Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, that was the question.
Hi, I'm a random lawyer who took Improv 101 once at UCB. So my question is, especially as someone without a performing background who took Improv 101, and in LA of all places where a lot of people in 101 do have performance backgrounds, is especially as a slightly socially awkward, self-conscious Asian guy, how do you find space or like try to like find space for yourself?
I think because I teach, those are my favorite students. Like people who, the reason why I teach and I love teaching is because as someone who didn't want to pursue this professionally and like just wanted to be more comfortable just performing, the moment of understanding that it's not about like being funny or forcing to be funny, that everyone inherently is funny because everyone is a person with a unique perspective and therefore worthy enough to showcase their comedic sensibility. when they realize that like, oh, I don't have to play like this actor, I don't have to like do comedy like so and so, that I can just react the way that I would in real life, and that's funny, is monumental in their lives. And like they can use that for courtroom or whatever, or not at all, but to me that is I really cultivate people who are a bit on the shyer side or just have like performance anxiety, because that's been my perspective too. And seeing that transition and seeing them sort of like realize their innate power that they've always had, but they were kind of like a little too shy to showcase, like to me that's the point of it all, you know?
I want to make a personal pitch. Don't remind me your name. We were talking earlier. Kevin. This is a very personal advertisement to just you. But you know, we're sharing resources. We got to do this. But follow the account Asian AF Show. We have workshops that are led by us, by people in the community, and they're, you know, we don't like exclude anybody, but they're kind of for Asian people. But what I've learned as being a teacher of many of these workshops is that when you get a lot of people who are usually find themselves marginalized in most of their other places that they are learning improv or learning anything, and you get them all in the same place, there is a beauty of safety that comes with that. People really feel like they have they have power to be themselves, and there's a lot of sharing in these workshops. There is a lot of like community, there's a lot of support, and there's a lot of shy people in these workshops too. So I'm saying this like this might be like a great resource for you for if you're like looking around. Like follow the show, follow the account Asian AF Show, and we post when we have workshops. They're at intermittent times, so I have to direct you to the.
And they're very affordable, aren't they? Like $20 or something.
They're like $20. Yeah. They're very cheap. You know, they're $20 for like a 3-hour workshop, and you're only with like a like.
And you don't need like prior improv experience to take.
For most of them, no. For most of them, no. So like, you know, I don't know where else to find these pockets, but this is available to the extended community. Yeah.
So I've been to a couple like 101 shows just to support friends and like just to cheer on and see who's just, you know, trying to do their thing. My question is like, as an audience member and someone who, you know, not necessarily me, but someone who wants to like take an improv class. There's always like there's an array of people in that showcase or in that performance, and sometimes there's like the person trying, like you can tell like it's funny, but it's like they're definitely trying, and then there's the person who's like definitely trying to be funny, and it's not that funny, and then as a person who you know, audience members like, oh, I don't have to be that funny or as funny as that guy, because that guy's like, or that person is not funny, and I can quote unquote be better than that person. Like, have you had that moment in your like origin story, and then did that drive you to where you are now?
Being competitive. No, I feel like a lot of it is just it's honesty versus, to me, it's like invention versus discovery all the time. Like there are people who are like generally like very funny, but will like sort of invent something to be funny, to be like, look how funny I am. That like lands with a thud, right? And then there's people who are like not necessarily funny, who are just like, I'm reacting in real time, and then they're sort of the stuff like they end up shining, and it's like that's comedy. Comedy's context a lot, and it's like, okay, which of you are listening to each other, collaborating with each other, and who's like fabricating that sense of like, I'm gonna perform. And I think with improv, it's like we want to connect as improvisers to then bring the audience in, and sometimes the performer connects with the audience while forgetting about them, and that reads as inauthentic. Because the thing about the audience is that they can tell what's real and what's not, you know?
You want to hear a fun fact? Oscar was on a Herald team many moons ago, which happened to be one of the first Heralds I ever watched.
1870.
And in 1875. And he was so effervescent and shiny and good that I made it my mission to be better than him that day.
Oh my God.
So in a way.
Yeah. So there it is.
Yeah.
And now they're better than me in every way.
Definitely better at sound design.
And science.
And all the sciences.
And science.
Actually, Oscar sound designed Mad Max Fury Road.
But you're better than me. You're better than me. I did win an
Renfro
Oscar
did,
for it. But
sound design Dune. I guess how that works for me, maybe for writing, I translate that to like when I read a script that I didn't like, but like it got a pilot order or it got a series order. I'm like, you know what? Like I didn't like this, but someone else liked it enough to make it. So it's like. Yeah, so it's like, okay, like I just need a champion, just to find somebody that likes my stuff enough. So I guess that's my version of that, of like, well, I don't have to be the best pilot to get sold. I just have to find someone who likes me or likes it or whatever,
I do find that sometimes when I'm watching a not very good show, same as when I'm watching a very good show, they both kind of generate ideas. So yeah, it's all helpful.
For many years, I was that person that was trying to be funny. Oh yeah, and yeah, it took me a long time to cool off and just be like, oh, if I'm just like paying attention to what other people are saying, it goes a lot farther. So, for all the people who are really not funny out there, I see you.
A big part of it too is, at least from what I've noticed, is if you're having fun, the audience is having fun. Once you're in your head about things and you're like, oh no, am I not funny anymore? That's kind of when the audience loses you because they can see that you're not nervous, but you're in your head. And
Absolutely.
Improv's all about getting out of your head and
Yeah, I think also like to that like the audience only requires one thing, and that is to be taken care of. And if the performers are like really on top of their stuff, reacting, responding, then the audience feels safe. They feel taken care of. But as soon as like the energy's off, when you're in your head, when you're being like weirdly confrontational or something, the energy's really off, then the audience feels like, uh-oh, I don't feel safe here. Like, I don't feel taken care of or valued or seen, and that's when things go south, right? So yeah, I think conversation needs to happen, both to the person on stage that you're with and also the audience too, to just check in and be like, y'all are vibing? Good, let me continue,
Do you guys have any shows coming up / anything you'd like to let our audience know?
Asian AF is having 2 shows in August. I'd love to invite you all to it. Again, Asian AF Show is the Instagram handle. And there's one on the 21st and one on the 23rd, I think. The 21st will be at UCB, and the 23rd will be our debut show at a new theater owned by Tamilyn Tomita of Karate Kid fame. She won't be there; she's not available. But we asked. But we've had her for shows before, so it's not the most impossible thing. That one's going to be at the Outside In Theater. Please come. There's such a good time, and if we're talking about community, like people hang out afterwards. We try to all get a drink after. Please come and invite your friends. It's a really fun show, and we usually do a fantastic job. Sometimes we phone it in, but
if you show up, they will not phone it in.
Yeah. There you go. So that's our verbal agreement.
They will just be funny. They won't try to be funny.
Yeah.
I'm directing a show that is this Saturday at UCB at 7 p.m. called As Sketch. It's a brand new 1-hour show that we've created in a week and a half.
Ooh,
It's
and now
very
we know about Chris's directing skills, so it's going to be fantastic.
And sound. There better be
And
sound.
the sound
The
better
sound's gonna
be fire.
Amazing.
It's gonna be incredible sound. the
Obie
best sound,
award-winning
Obie.
sound. I have a show on Friday, this upcoming Friday at 10 p.m. An all queer group with a house team that has graduated to Weekend Slot, bitchin'. One of my favorite, I don't know why I feel like Alan Pintal is like one of my favorite people in the world, but she's on that team, bitchin'. So it's Bitchin' Rita Repulsa at UCB, 10 p.m.
For Alan heads, Alan is also a co-producer of Asian AF. So if you want to get more Alan Pintal,
As you should.
come to these shows.
And she also is also one of the co-hosts and co-producers of Filipino AF, and we haven't announced them yet. We're still working on the details, but we're going to have Filipino AF shows in September and October. Stay tuned for those updates, and then as far as, and also submit to if you want to perform as well, reach out to us. And then I'm putting up the never been fully staged before. Going to put up a workshop production of Supportive White Parents, the 2-act version, in December. Hopefully at Outside In. We're working on those details too. So we'll keep you posted on that as well.
Sorry, I meant to jump in. We have a show.
We
Sunday.
do? Oh, okay. I never know what's happening beyond the next 24 hours. We have a show.
QTs
this
has a show
Sunday.
this Sunday.
Okay.
Time.
7 p.m.
7 p.m. at
UCB?
At UCB.
And then
You don't
think
have
I'm
to be
doing one of
trans
these.
to go, but you will leave trans.
Yeah. It's the agenda.
Well, I'm sold.
Where can we find everyone on the socials?
My Insta's Joy Regullano.
Mine says Asian AF show. And at your friend, Lilan.
Mine is at the meat skeleton.
I would just like to be followed on Letterboxd at Alex Song-Xia. Also
Yes.
Instagram.
Follow me on Letterboxd.
Oscar Montoya. Is really good.
I love
actually.
Letterboxd. It's my favorite app
New
in the
movie
universe.
every day.
It is. I watch a movie every day. And follow me at Ozzymo, OZZYMO on Instagram.
And I'm at Kim Cat Wongbat on Instagram. So much chaos. We're gonna take a group picture on stage, as is tradition with We Own the 8th, and feel free to stick around after to get to know our community. Thanks again to all of our amazing panelists, Joy Regullano, Lilan Bowden, Chris Renfro, Alex Song-Xia, and Oscar Montoya.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah. Okay, everyone stay up on stage. Oh wait, one more.